This is outrageous. I demand he be handcuffed now. The shrill command cut through the crisp morning air like a shard of glass, echoing off the perfectly manicured lawns of suburban paradise. How had it come to this? A quiet Tuesday. The sun barely warming the cul-de-sac. And Lieutenant Commander Ben Miller was facing down an HOA-sanctioned tribunal led by a woman named Carol, whose very name had become a neighborhood curse. She was a caricature of entitlement, a self-appointed queen of the community. And her latest crusade was against Ben's allegedly unapproved garden gnome. A garden gnome. Ben stood there, a quiet tension in his jaw, his eyes fixed on the smug, self-satisfied smirk on Carol's face as the two rent-a-cops, hired by the HOA, fidgeted nervously. The absurd scene had been building for weeks. A simmering resentment from Carol toward Ben's easygoing nature and the way his neighbors rallied around him. But this was a new level of insanity. The two guards, looking more like teenagers in ill-fitting uniforms, took a tentative step forward. "Ma'am. We can't just do that." "You can. And you will," Carol shrieked, her voice cracking with fury. "He's a menace. He's in contempt of the Homeowners Association. He even had the audacity to trespass on the USS Truman, a military vessel. This is a federal matter." Ben's jaw tightened. The USS Truman. That name, spoken from her lips, felt like a bizarre, misplaced weapon. He was a veteran of that ship, had served on it for years. And now she was twisting his service into a crime. He took a slow, deliberate breath, the kind that steadied him before a difficult mission. "Carol, you're talking nonsense," he said, his voice a low rumble, calm against her tempest. "I was deployed on that ship for 3 years. I didn't trespass. I served." Her laughter was a harsh, unpleasant sound. "Oh. I know all about your service, mister. My sources tell me you were thrown off the ship for insubordination. That's why you're back here. With your rebellious lawn ornaments." The guards exchanged a glance, their hesitation growing. This was way above their pay grade. Ben felt a sudden, sharp sting of betrayal. Not from her lies, but from the fact that someone, somewhere, had fed her this garbage. He watched as the color drained from a young neighbor's face in the small crowd that had gathered. Sarah, a single mother who had just moved in, looked terrified. Ben had helped her fix a leak in her roof, and she was watching, her hands clasped to her chest, as Carol painted him as a pariah. A surge of protectiveness, of pure, unadulterated righteous fury, ran through him. "Who told you this, Carol?" he asked, his voice now devoid of any humor. "That's privileged information," she snapped back, puffing out her chest. Ben looked at the guards, then back at the woman who was trying to ruin his life over a ceramic garden gnome. "No. It's a lie. I was honorably discharged. Just like every other officer who completes their service. The only insubordination here is yours. Attempting to use the military to back up your baseless claims." But she wasn't listening. She was already on her phone, redialing a number, her face a mask of furious self-importance. "I told you. I have an Admiral on speed dial. He's going to make you wish you never bought a house on this street." Just then, a sleek, black sedan pulled up quietly to the curb. The engine purred to a stop, and a man in a crisp navy uniform stepped out. He was older, with a shock of silver hair and a face etched with the kind of deep lines that only years of command and responsibility can create. He moved with a quiet, confident authority that instantly made the two HOA guards look like lost puppies. Carol's eyes lit up. a triumphant grin spreading across her face. "See? I told you he'd come. Admiral. Admiral. Darling. It's all here. Just as I told you. He's a disgrace. He needs to be taken away." The Admiral, however, didn't even look at her. His gaze was fixed on Ben. A slow, knowing smile spread across his face. And he walked directly past Carol, whose jaw had dropped so low it looked like it might unhinge. "Lieutenant Commander Miller," the Admiral said, extending his hand. "Good to see you again. And thank you, by the way, for handling my misguided niece. She can be quite a handful. Can't she?" The crowd audibly gasped. The two guards stared, mouths agape. Carol, frozen in place, finally found her voice. "Uncle Fred." "What? No. You can't be. That's not what we talked about." Admiral Fred Jameson, an actual, bona fide admiral of the United States Navy, turned a cool, unimpressed gaze on her. "No. Carol. That's exactly what we talked about. You called me. Furious that my former lieutenant, an exemplary officer by the way, wouldn't let you bring your emotional support miniature poodle onto the ship during a public tour. The tour you crashed, by the way, after you attempted to use my name to skip the security line and were denied." He paused, letting the words hang in the air. "You then proceeded to make a scene, calling the guards commoners and claiming you were a special envoy from the HOA. You were, in fact, the one who trespassed. And you were almost escorted off the base. Ben was simply doing his job, upholding protocol." The color from Carol's face drained completely, replaced by a ghostly pallor. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. The Admiral, ever the professional, turned back to the two guards. "And you too," he said, his voice taking on a harder edge. "I've just received the report. You're being charged with impersonating military personnel and improperly attempting to detain a service member. I've already contacted your superiors. And as for your fines, they will be significant." He then looked at the crowd, then at Ben. "There will be no charges filed against anyone else here. This matter is concluded. Good day." With that, he nodded to Ben, got back in his car, and drove away, leaving behind a silence so thick it was almost suffocating. The two guards, looking utterly defeated, unclipped their toy walkie-talkies and walked slowly away, their heads bowed. Carol, alone, pathetic figure, stood there for a long moment, a tremor running through her. The smugness was gone, replaced by a hollow-eyed terror. The very people she had tried to impress now looked at her with a mixture of pity and contempt. Her empire of petty rules and small-minded dominance had just collapsed in a heap of broken pride. Her chin quivered, and a single tear traced a path through her caked-on makeup. Ben didn't say a word. He didn't need to. The silence was his victory. Later that evening, after the last of the neighbors had left, shaking their heads in disbelief and offering heartfelt apologies, Ben sat on his porch, a cool drink in his hand. Sarah, the young mother from earlier, brought over a plate of cookies. "I'm so sorry," she said, her voice soft. I almost believed her. I've never seen anything like that. Ben smiled. A genuine, tired smile. "It's okay, Sarah. She's like a storm. You just have to ride it out." He looked at the quiet street, at the houses with their soft porch lights, and felt a profound sense of peace. The storm had passed, but the aftershocks would linger. Carol had been exposed for who she was. Not a powerful figure, but a small, insecure person who had tried to weaponize her small slice of authority. It was a lesson in how quickly an illusion can crumble when confronted with truth and real power. So, here's the thing. When faced with a bully like Carol, what's the right thing to do? To stand your ground and fight? Or to simply let them have their way to avoid conflict? It's a question of right versus wrong. And sometimes, the lines can get blurred. So, what do you think?